This is full time. Let's get right into it this week. A lot to discuss as we had predicted, even though there is no action, except in Belarus. So anyone in Belarus, any Belarusians tuning in, hello. I would like to say I will never forget the role that video games played during this time. I'm into my third week of my own self-quarantine, and everyone's at a different pace or level. We should all be around there if we're here in the United States. We are trying things. I work with LAFC and Combate Americas, and everyone's trying things to keep people engaged. They have to. It's a business choice right here. And the video games, of everything I've tried, felt like the best thing that we could have done. I recently got to call my first EMLS game. It was between Giuseppe Guastella, the LA Galaxy gamer, and Remy Martin of LAFC. The engagement was huge. It was a lot of fun. It helped me hone my craft as I got to prepare calling a game, even though it was a virtual game. And the numbers and what it's been able to do has outdistanced everything else. And it's not just because it's something to watch, but it's competition. It is real results. Sometimes sports, you don't have to watch the game. You just want to get a result. And you pick it up, you say, the LAFC guy beat the guys. Yeah, just hearing those results without seeing anything is something that we all look. That's why we used to pick up the newspaper back in the day, or we go online and check the scores the next morning. That's good. I think, first of all, I'm not a gamer, and I'm not going to get into gaming. I'm too old, and I don't want to start on the bottom rung of FIFA and get whooped up by people. Not interested. But if I ever thought poorly of them, I owe them an apology. I salute everyone in the e-gaming, e-commerce world. I think I mentioned the NASCAR race last week where they had current NASCAR drivers and legends race a virtual race on a real track. And they're all in these simulators with a steering wheel. So they're actually looking like they're driving their car. It got 1 million viewers on FS1. 1 million viewers. And now they're doing it every week. They had Bob Weir sing the national anthem from out there in NorCal. Bob Weir, the Grateful Dead. Everyone's being creative in that space. Leyton Orient had a 128-team online tournament. Real results, folks. Remember, they had South by Southwest canceled, which was where they're going to have the EMLS Cup. So they're making some lemonades, like so many other people are. Thank you, gaming industry. I have a new respect for you. And they're going to continue to be on the forefront. I want to keep doing it. So there's a retroactive thing going on with the spread of CV-19. And we heard it from I think it was the mayor of Bergamo, which is the town where Atalanta's from. And he said, these harrowing things, major accusations about having a game in northern Italy when this was going through and decimating Italy for the most part, that region in particular. It's crazy because they had Atalanta and they had fans in the venue. We didn't know it was going to hit Italy, and now we know it. There's a lot of lines crossing because it hit Spain as well. When you look back at it, you're like, whoa, hindsight's 2020. Jurgen Klopp had a conversation with Carlo Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti said, based on that conversation, Klopp said playing during the Champions League during this spread was criminal. I agree. I think I tend to agree with him. But if we're going back and we're doing this, what do we get? What do we prove? Are we going to jail people? How far back do we go? It doesn't do us a lot of good. What we have to focus is from this point forward, getting better, doing all the right things. We all learned a big lesson, a very difficult one. And here we are. Lives will be lost. And that's a very tough pill to swallow. But we've got to focus on salvaging the situation, or it could, Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool did lose that game. And I think when you take that into consideration, I don't think Klopp would do it. Remember when Klopp was asked about it, he goes, why are you asking me, a manager, about the virus? Ask a doctor, ask a scientist. It's not important. You knew he was getting the information. Carlo Ancelotti says he agrees with him, so he's not throwing him under the bus. But, Liverpool's season really flipped here. Their Premier League 25-point lead is on hold and out of the Champions League, and this in the middle of it. It's a difficult situation. But this retroactive look back, no. We can't hold ourselves up here. We've got to focus on this, the curve. So the Premier League, and I'll focus on that. They are the big league right now with, this is what they have said, 100% commitment to completing the season. There will be no null and void. They have $1 billion in TV money that they'll have to pay back if they don't complete the games. I say give the title to Liverpool. Let's not be silly. But you have to find the Champions League spots. You have to have the relegation resolved. Teams are reluctant right now. They want to rerun the tournament situations. There's a shareholders meeting on April the 3rd. Right now, a June 30th kind of situation where they would have to find a time to end their leagues. Not pick up plays. So we're looking at that. The Premier League is the highest profile, most money. There is a belief, and I think everyone would seem to agree with it, that things are going to get worse, CV19, in the United Kingdom. We're seeing it starting to grow. So right now, the apex, as they call it, it's not really close to getting it. But there are discussions. There are very creative discussions about how to salvage this league. I think when you look, it's singular there because other leagues aren't going to be thinking about closing shop. When I take a look at some things that are being thrown out there, there was an article in The Independent in the United Kingdom, and it reads like something that, first of all, everyone would love to see. The Premier League this summer in fields in London and the Midlands. Isolated camps, behind closed doors, World Cup style play. 92 matches with games every day of the summer. Each team would be in a separate hotel away from family, just like an international tournament. Testing quarantine conditions. Everyone locked down, only to play the game. Filling the void left by the Euros. So popping right in there and filling that void. This would be a TV mega hit. Everyone would watch because you got no Euros. You have this unique circumstance. You have games every day. All eyes will be on them. And then you have this reality show aspect of the players and managers and the coaches. You could engage people in the evening about what's happening. Like Big Brother style. I love the idea. I love it. It's great. But no one's thinking about the players. No one's thinking about the players. Leaving their family, putting themselves, their health at risk. If one person gets CV19, the whole thing could derail. No one's thinking about the return to normalcy. This is, June and July feels like it gives you enough time, but we've got to see how things work out the next 2 weeks. Again, great idea. The UEFA president says season will be lost if they do not resume by the end of June. Time may run out. That, again, seems far down the line, but still a ways to go. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Mark Cuban, billionaire, owner. I don't know if he's a billionaire. He's got to be close to it. He had an interesting article this week, which I read, and he says how companies treat workers during the pandemic will defend their brand for decades. I agree with him. This is a unique circumstance for clubs, businesses, leagues, to see how they handle this. So far, on the sports world, no one's put their foot in it, but, if you let people go, if you bring them back in, if you don't find a way to make them whole somehow financially. Cuban says it's not just a safety issue, it's a business issue. Protecting the hourly workers, how do we find them that? I agree that it's going to, clubs will be, maybe people will remember this forever. People will remember what happened just like in 9/11. Who stood up? The one thing about the business and the safety issues, and Mark Cuban gets into it because people want to separate those two. But I think you have to include them all. And we heard the President Trump say when the cure is worse than when the problem is worse than the cure, you've got to take that into consideration because time goes by, as we've seen it in a few short weeks, things get hairy. But I say treat your people well. Listen to Mark Cuban. All right, I'm going to close. I'm just going to take my hat off to Juventus. Obviously, Northern Italy hit hardest by all of this. But the Juventus players, not much fanfare. Athletes, once again, exceeding every other world. Public figures, actors, in their generosity. The players from Juventus relinquished 4 months of their salary, which adds to about $100 million. Cristiano Ronaldo represents $4 million of that. And I know he makes a lot of money, but I don't care how much money you make. Just giving up $4 million is difficult. If that was the case, billionaires would be dropping $4 million all the time. It's not a drop in the bucket, so I'm not having anyone tell me that. I'm saying, well, they've got to contribute. People in Juventus took the bull by the horns. They've been highly affected by this. Blaise Matuidi, Paulo Dybala testing positive for CV19. So Juventus really made a strong. I just think that's a wonderful thing. They have bigger issues. We talk about the Premier League coming back, but there's no discussion about the Serie A. Where? How? That country has gone through something that I don't think any of us can really say or feel unless we experience it. We could hear these horror stories, but I think to be there is a different story. This is Full Time. We'll still be here. Any direction, hell or high water. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Max Bredos. Come on, do yourself a favor. Spread the word. By the way, this is my house is now a full studio. This is Studio 2. This is Studio 1. Studio 2 is in my master bedroom. Studio 3 is by the garage. So keeping active.